The rain-slicked streets of Brooklyn gleamed under the sodium lamps like shattered glass, and I stood there frozen as Jordan stepped out of the cab, his silhouette cutting through the downpour like a ghost from a dream I couldn't wake from. His eyes, those once warm hazel pools that had held me through every storm, met mine now with the cold precision of a stranger's, and in that instant I knew the accident hadn't just stolen his memories, it had erased us. "Alex," he said my name like it was a question, a burden he hadn't asked for. "You're not who I thought you were anymore." I had waited 2 years for this moment, picturing 1,000 reunions in the quiet hours after midnight when the city's hum faded to a whisper. Jordan and I had built something unbreakable in the chaos of our early 20s, a love forged in stolen glances across lecture halls and late-night confessions under the Washington Square arch. He was the artist with paint-stained fingers and a laugh that could unravel my defenses, the one who taught me that vulnerability wasn't weakness but the truest form of strength. We met freshman year at NYU, him sketching feverishly in the corner of the library, me buried in psych textbooks, pretending not to notice how his curls fell over his forehead like an invitation. One rainy afternoon, much like this one, he slid a napkin across the table scrawled with a cartoon of me as a brooding philosopher, and underneath it said, "What's your story?" That napkin became our first secret, our first thread. But life in New York doesn't hand out fairy tales without footnotes. Jordan's family back in Ohio was the picture of Midwestern normalcy. Dad, a stoic accountant, mom, the church volunteer who baked pies for bake sales and whispered prayers for wayward souls. When he told them about us over a tense Thanksgiving call, the silence that followed was louder than any shout. "Son," his father had said, voice cracking like dry timber, "this isn't you. You're confused. Come home, we'll fix it." Jordan didn't go home that year or the next, but the fracture lingered, a quiet poison seeping into our days. I'd catch him staring at his phone screen, glowing with unread texts from his sister, pleading for him to think about what this does to Mom. We'd fight not with screams, but with silences, the kind that stretch until one of us breaks and says, "I'm sorry," even when it's not our fault. Our friends became our anchor. Sarah, the fierce lesbian barista with tattoos snaking up her arms, who owned a coffee shop in Williamsburg and hosted underground poetry slams where we'd read love letters disguised as verse. She was the one who pulled me aside after our first big blow-up, whispering, "Love isn't a straight line, Alex. It's a goddamn maze, but you too? You're the map." Then there was Mike, Jordan's roommate from art school, bi and unapologetic with a grin that could charm a room full of skeptics. He dragged us to queer film festivals in the village where we'd huddle in the dark, sharing popcorn and stolen kisses, laughing at the screen's exaggerated dramas that felt too close to our own truths. That spring, everything shattered. We were driving back from a weekend in the Catskills, Jordan behind the wheel humming an old indie tune, his hand warm on my thigh. The truck came out of nowhere, a delivery van hydroplaning on black ice. I woke up in the hospital with a concussion and a fractured wrist, but Jordan, he was airlifted to a specialist in Manhattan, his skull cracked, memories leaking like sand through fingers. The doctors called it retrograde amnesia, selective at first, they said, but when he surfaced from the coma, his eyes scanned the room, landing on me with polite detachment. "Nice to meet you," he'd murmured to the nurse, who corrected him gently. To me, he just nodded like I was another face in the crowd. I stayed through the rehab, the therapies, the slow crawl back to a life that no longer fit. But Jordan, he pushed away, not with anger, but with a clinical efficiency that hurt worse. "I need space, Alex," he'd said one gray morning in the hospital cafeteria, his coffee untouched, "to figure out who I am without this version of me." He left for Ohio, that week, suitcase packed with clothes I recognized and a heart I no longer did. The last thing he said before the elevator doors closed was, "Don't wait. You deserve better." But I waited anyway, because love doesn't clock out when the shift ends. Now here he was 2 years later, stepping into my life like he'd never left, except everything about him screamed he had. He'd changed his hair, cropped short, military style, traded his paint-splattered jeans for crisp khakis and a button-down that screamed corporate assimilation. Word from mutual friends was he'd landed a graphic design gig at some ad firm in Midtown, playing it straight in every sense. No rainbow pins, no art shows, just a LinkedIn profile scrubbed clean of us. And yet, as he approached, umbrella shielding his face, I saw at the flicker in his eyes a shadow of recognition that he quickly doused. "Jordan," I managed, voice raw from disuse, "what are you doing here?" He stopped a foot away close enough to smell the familiar cedar of his cologne mixed with rain. Sarah gave me your address. Said you were struggling. His gaze dropped to the ground, then back up appraising me like inventory. I must have looked the wreck. I felt unshaven circles under my eyes from nights blurring into days at my therapist's couch. After he left, I'd spiraled, dropped classes, picked up freelance editing gigs that paid the rent, but left my soul adrift. Therapy helped unpack the abandonment issues tied to my own fractured family, a dad who bailed when I was 10, a mom who loved me, but whispered, "Be careful out there," like the world was a trap just for people like us. Struggling, I echoed, a bitter laugh escaping. That's one way to put it. Come in, at least get out of the wet. My apartment was a shoebox in Bushwick, exposed brick and secondhand furniture that still held ghosts of him, the couch, where we'd binge-watch old rom-coms debating which leads were secretly queer. He stepped inside, shedding his coat, revealing a frame leaner than I remembered, like grief had whittled him down to. "Nice place," he said, politely scanning the walls where my photos hung. "Solo shots now know us." I brewed coffee black the way he used to take it, handing him a mug that our fingers brushed, and damn if that didn't send a jolt through me. He sipped, stared into the steam. "Look, I didn't come to rehash. I came because I owe you closure." Or something like that. Closure. The word landed like a slap. "You think that's what this is? You vanish, erase everything we had, and now you show up with a Hallmark apology." His jaw tightened, eyes flashing that old fire. "I didn't erase it, Alex. It erased me. Woke up one day, and my head was a blank slate. No paint, no poetry, no you. My family, they helped fill in the gaps, told me stories about the boy I was before. The one who was lost, confused." He paused, voice dropping. "They said you were part of that confusion. That you made me someone I wasn't." The room tilted. His family, the same ones who'd called our love a phase, a mistake, now rewriting history with me as the villain. They lied, Jordan. We were real. Every kiss, every promise. You chose me. Did I? He set the mug down too hard, coffee sloshing. Or was it some college experiment? I see the photos now, old ones they showed me, you and me at parties looking happy, but it's like watching someone else's life. And when I try to remember, it hurts like glass in my veins. I crossed the room, photos in hand, thrusting one under his nose, us at Pride, arms linked, rainbows painted on our cheeks. "This isn't someone else. This is us." He took it, fingers trembling, traced our smiles, then handed it back. "Maybe, but I'm not that guy anymore. I've built something stable, a job, friends who don't question. And you? Sarah says you've been chasing ghosts. It's not healthy. Not worthy." I whispered the words he'd texted months ago after I reached out, drunk and desperate. "That's what you said last time. That I wasn't worth the mess." He flinched, eyes betraying him, softening for a split second before hardening again. I was angry then, trying to make sense of nothing. "But yeah, maybe that's true. You deserve someone who remembers every detail, not this half version of me." The lie hung heavy because in that softening I saw it, the truth his eyes always told, even when his mouth spun stories to protect him. He remembered fragments, flashes in the dark that scared him back to the safety of denial. But admitting that would crack the facade he'd built brick by painful brick. "Tell me one thing." I pressed, voice steady despite the ache. "If I'm just a stranger, why do your eyes look at me like I'm home?" He stood abruptly, chair scraping. "I should go? Thanks for the coffee." As he reached the door, I grabbed his arm, pulse racing under my fingers. "Jordan, please. Stay. Fight for this like we used to." He pulled away, but slowly, eyes locked on mine, stormy with unspoken wars. "I can't, Alex. Not yet. Maybe not ever." The door clicked shut, leaving me in the echo of what was and the ghost of what might be. But as I sank to the floor, tears hot on my cheeks, I knew this wasn't over. Because love like ours doesn't forget, it just waits, biding time in the shadows of the heart. That night, I called Sarah, her voice crackling through the phone from her shop, where the espresso machine hissed like an old friend. "He came by." I said, no preamble needed. She sighed, the sound of someone who's carried too many secrets. "I figured he'd cave eventually. The guy's been asking about you for months, subtle like, 'How's Alex holding up?' Like I wouldn't notice. Months. While I'd been piecing myself back together, he'd been orbiting close enough to touch. What does he say? Nothing direct. But yesterday he lingered over a latte, sketching on a napkin, you know that old habit? It was a park bench, two figures blurred, but one reaching for the other. Sound familiar? My chest tightened. Fragments surfacing like debris after a flood. His family poisoned him against me, Sarah. Rewrote our story. Yeah, well, families do that. Mine tried to ship me off to conversion camp when they found my diary. Thank God for my aunt the black sheep who smuggled me to the city. She paused, steam whooshing in the background. You gonna let him walk? No, I said, fiercer than I felt. But how do I fight amnesia and prejudice wrapped in one pretty package? Remind him. Not with words, with the life we built. Throw a dinner, Mike, and I will back you up. Show him the mosaic, not the missing pieces. The idea sparked something dormant, hope flickering like a match in wind. Mike was in on it by morning, his text buzzing my phone. Operation Memory Lane? I'm in. Bringing the good whiskey, the kind that loosens tongues. We planned it simple, but loaded. My apartment transformed with touches of then fairy lights strung across the ceiling, Jordan's favorite playlist, humming low, photos curated not accusatory, but inviting. Inviting him without pressure, a casual, friends catching up, text from Sarah's phone, because mine he'd blocked in a moment of weakness. He showed up at 7 sharp, bottle of red in hand, eyes wary but curious. This feels like an intervention, he joked, but his smile didn't reach those hazel depths. Just dinner. Mike clapped him on the back, easy as ever, and lies about how much better looking we all are now. Sarah hugged him fierce, whispering something that made him chuckle, genuine if brief. We ate pasta Alfredo, the kind Jordan used to make from scratch, his mom's recipe, twisted with garlic and optimism. Conversation flowed light at first. Art scenes in the city, Mike's latest fling, a disastrous date with a straight guy who thought bi was a phase. Laughter bubbled, easing the tension until Sarah steered gentle. Remember that slam night, Jordan? You read that piece about the boy with stars in his veins. His fork paused midair. Vaguely, like a dream you half recall. It was about Alex, she said, soft, the way he lit up your world. Jordan's gaze slid to me across the table, charged. Yeah, well, dreams fade. But they did not really. As the night wore on, wine loosening guards, he drifted to the window, staring at the street below, where kids skateboard under lamps. I used to love this view, he murmured, the chaos of it. Felt alive. You still do? I said, joining him, shoulder brushing his. It's in you somewhere under the khakis and the 9 to 5. He turned close enough, our breaths mingled. What if I don't want it back? What if stable is all I have left? Then we build new, Mike chimed from the couch, but you gotta stop running from the blueprint. The air thickened, words hanging, until Jordan's phone buzzed, a text from his sister, lighting his face, then dimming it. Family stuff, he muttered, pocketing it. Sarah shot me a look. We knew the drill, the pull of blood ties laced with judgment. Later, as plates cleared, he helped in the kitchen, our hands colliding over suds, a spark that made him freeze. This is dangerous, he whispered, feeling echoes I can't place. Feel them anyway, I urged, heart hammering. They're yours. He dried a glass, methodical, eyes distant. Last week I dreamt of a bridge, fireworks exploding overhead. Woke up crying, didn't know why. July 4th on the Brooklyn Bridge, I breathed, our first kiss under the booms. You said it was magic. The glass slipped, shattering on tile, a omen or punctuation. We both knelt, shards glittering between us, his hand finding mine in the mess. Magic, he echoed, voice breaking, or madness? Both, I said, pulling him up close, the room fading to just us. In that moment, his eyes stripped bare, no walls, just raw want warring with fear. He leaned in, lips brushing my temple, feather light, a ghost of touch that ignited everything. Then the door buzzer screamed, Mike answering a delivery, pizza we'd forgotten. The spell cracked, Jordan stepping back, mask slipping into place. I should head out, early meeting tomorrow. We walked him down the stoop, rain pattering soft now. Thanks, he said to the group, but his eyes lingered on me. For the memories, even the painful ones. Sarah hugged him again, Mike fist bumped, and then it was just us under the awning. Text me, I said, anytime a fragment surfaces. He nodded, throat working. Alex, what if I never fully remember? Then we make new memories, I replied, worthy ones. He hailed a cab, vanishing into the night, but not before I saw it again, that story in his eyes, the one his words refused to tell. I love you still, even if I can't say it yet. The days blurred into a tense rhythm, text sporadic from Jordan, snippets of his life, busy week at work, or saw a sketch that reminded me of something. Each one a breadcrumb leading nowhere and everywhere. I threw myself into work, editing manuscripts for indie authors, queer voices, mostly their stories of resilience mirroring my own ache. But the hook was set now. Every quiet moment pulled me back to him, wondering if the pull was mutual or just my desperate imagination. Sarah noticed first over coffee, her sharp eyes missing nothing. You're glowing, she teased. Or is that just the caffeine? I deflected, but she pressed. It's him, isn't it? The dinner stirred the pot. Yeah, I admitted, stirring my latte into a froth. He's cracking, but terrified. His family's grip is iron. She nodded, sipping her black. Mine too, until I cut the cord. But Jordan, he's the loyal type. Thinks he owes them his sanity. We brainstormed ways to nudge without pushing a group hike in Prospect Park, neutral ground, nature's therapist. Mike was all in. I'll pack the trail mix with those dried cherries he loves. Subtle nostalgia bomb. The hike was crisp fall air turning leaves to fire, Jordan arriving in hiking boots that looked barely used, but his smile real if guarded. We trekked the paths, Mike leading with bad jokes, Sarah snapping photos for the memories album. She winked. Jordan fell back with me, feet crunching leaves. This feels familiar, he said, glancing sideways. Woods rain, the smell of earth after storm. Camping trip sophomore year. I supplied, careful. We got lost, argued, pitched a tent in the dark, made up under stars. He stopped, hand on a tree bark rough under his palm. I see it flashes. Your laugh echoing your hand in mine, cold but sure. My breath caught the admission, a bridge between then and now. Keep chasing them, Jordan. They're gold. We pressed on, reaching an overlooked city sprawled below like a promise. The group picnicked, sandwiches and stories, Mike recounting our infamous karaoke night, where Jordan belted show tunes off-key, but fearless. Laughter flowed easy until his phone rang insistent. He stepped away, voice low, urgent, coming back pale. Sister, Dad's sick, heart thing. I need to go home. The word home twisted like a knife, Ohio's pull undeniable. When? I asked, steady. Tomorrow. Just for the weekend. Sarah hugged him, send updates. And don't let them rewrite you again. He nodded, eyes on me heavy. Walk with me to the subway. We descended, silent at first, then he burst. It's always them, Alex. The safety net that feels like chains. They say you're a distraction, the reason I crashed that night, guilt or something. Rage, I countered, hot at them for not accepting us. Not at me. Us, he tested the word like new. At the platform, he turned, full face illuminated by train lights approaching. What if I stay there? Build the life they want. You won't, I said, certain, because your eyes, they betray you every time. The train screeched and he boarded, door closing on his conflicted gaze. I watched it pull away, heart pounding with the what-ifs. He texted from the airport, thanks for today. Flashes getting clearer. Then radio silence, broken only by a midnight call, 3 days in, voice thick with exhaustion. Alex, I'm drowning here. Dad's stable, but the talks that you were better before, bullshit. I told them about the hike, mentioned you, and Mom crossed herself like you were the devil. Tell them the truth. I urged from my bed sheets tangled, that I'm the best part of you. Silence stretched, then a whisper. I think you're right. But it scares me how much I miss us. Even half remembered. Come back. I said, simple, let me help carry it. I will promise, hanging fragile soon. The weight stretched, but I filled it, reaching out to his sister via Facebook, a Hail Mary. Hey, it's Alex. Not here to fight. Just want Jordan happy. Whatever he needs from home, send my way too. Her reply came swift, he's struggling. Blames himself for everything. Talk to him, he listens to you. Validation, a spark. When he returned a week later, it was unannounced, knocking at dawn, coffee in hand, eyes shadowed but determined. Couldn't sleep, he said, stepping in, kept seeing that tent, the stars, your face in the glow. We talked for hours, sprawled on the floor, mugs cooling, forgotten. He unpacked the visit, the hospital vigils, his dad's weak grip. Son, forgive us, we were wrong. Too little, too late. It unlocked something, Jordan confessed, anger at them for the lies, but mostly at the accident for stealing our time. I listened hard, full, tracing his knuckles with my thumb. We have time now. His eyes held mine, storm clearing to sun. Yeah, but slow, Alex. I need to rebuild trust in my own head. Slow it is, I agreed, sealing it with a hug, chaste but electric, his heartbeat syncing with mine. From their threads wove tighter, group hangs became ritual, Sarah slams, where he'd sketch the poets, Mike's game nights with board games that devolved into truth or dare confessions. Prejudices lingered, though subtle, his co-worker at a bar night side, eyeing our linked hands, whispering, didn't know you were. Jordan stiffened, but I squeezed, your call. And he straightened. Yeah, I am. With the best guy I know. Pride that year was catharsis, rainbow flags waving us through Manhattan streets. He marched, arm in mine, eyes wide at the sea of us, unapologetic. This, he breathed. I remember the energy, the belonging. We danced in the after-party, sweat-slick bodies moving to bass drops, his hand on my waist, tentative then bold. No kiss, yet boundaries respected, but the air hummed with possibility. Then the misunderstanding hit, like a rogue wave. A letter arrived forwarded from his old address, his ex-roommate's scrawl on the envelope. Inside, photos us from college, candid shots. Someone had doctored crude edits, suggesting infidelity, a party pic twisted to look like I'd kissed another guy. Note attached, anonymous, he was never yours. Let him go. Jordan found it on my counter while I showered, stormed out before I could explain. Texts bounced back, blocked again, voicemail full of static hurt. How could you, Alex? All those memories in you. Lied. I chased him to his office, Midtown Tower, glass and steel reflecting my panic. Security buzzed me up to the lobby where he waited, arms crossed, face thunder. Talk, he demanded. Or is it true? Planted, I thrust the letter at him. Jealous ghost from our past. Mike's ex may be the one who outed us to your family. He scanned, eyes flickering doubt, then softening. Shit. I jumped. Again. We sat on a bench outside, rain threatening. Trust issues, he admitted. Amnesia left holes, and I fill them with worst case. I know, I said, hand on his knee, but we're solid. No fakes here. He nodded, leaning head on my shoulder. Forgive me. Always, I murmured, and in that vulnerability, he turned, lips brushing mine, soft, exploratory, the world narrowing to that spark reigniting. It wasn't fireworks, but embers steady and warm. We pulled back, foreheads touching, breaths shared. More flashes, he whispered. Your smile and sunlight, the way you say my name like prayer. From their conflicts brewed, but we faced them tandem, his therapy sessions spilling into mine, unpacking prejudices internalized like old scars. His family called, tentative olive branch dinner invite, neutral ground, he said, wary. We went Ohio drive, long and loaded farmhouse smelling of apple pie and regret. His mom hugged stiff. We've prayed, she said, eyes wet for clarity. Dad nodded, silent, but present, sister mediating with wine. Conversation tiptoed around minds. We were scared, Mom confessed, for you, for us. But love's love. Jordan squeezed my hand under table, eyes meeting mine, grateful. It is, he agreed, and this is mine. The drive back was lighter, stories swapped, laughter healing old wounds. Back in the city, tensions peaked at Sarah's slam, a rival poet jabbing at amnesia, boys playing house, crowd murmuring judgments. Jordan froze, stage lights harsh, but I pulled him up. Your turn. He grabbed the mic, voice steady, poem pouring out, fragments woven whole. I forgot the color of your eyes, but not the ache slash the way you mended what broke slash unworthy. No, we were worthy of war slash, and this piece we carved from ruins. Applause thundered, mine loudest, eyes telling the story his heart now voiced. Backstage, embrace fierce. I remember, he said against my neck, all of it. You. The climax came unexpected, his full recall triggered by a sketchpad found in storage, our old doodles intertwined. He called me frantic, come now, and I raced to his loft, paint, Ken's open chaos of creation. It's back, he said, canvas before him, us in vivid strokes, bridge, fireworks eternal. We cried, laughed, collapsed into each other, kisses deepening, not rushed, but reverent, exploring rediscovered terrain. No rush to bedsheets, just bodies speaking languages of touch, forgiveness, home. Months later, at a quiet dinner, friends toasting to memories made and remade, Jordan raised glass, eyes locked on mine. To you the story I never forgot. And in that gaze I saw it all, the love that bent, but never broke, worthy beyond words.